Will AI take over a Sparks job? No, never. But recently, I've realized that AI can significantly help us when we're doing certification, right? I've got this software called TradeCert, right? TradeCert uses AI in a really, really interesting way and time-saving way, being able to like take a picture of a board and it pre-populate the circuit descriptions and the protective devices, even if it's like scrawled in, you know? This isn't an advert, it's not sponsored. I saw a video on TikTok by TradeCert and I was immediately hooked because I'm not surprised. Many things nowadays, I'm not surprised. A lot of it is just reinventing the wheel, all this new stuff. But this, I was interested straight away. I was like, I really want to try this. I've used it a couple of times on domestic jobs, but I want to put it through its paces. And I'm doing a really large commercial EICR this week, and I want to see how it fares. This EICR that I'm doing this week is a purpose-built commercial unit. The current clients have no idea what feeds what, right? So over the years, it's been chopped and changed, and all the names of the offices and businesses that are in there are old, and so no one knows what's what. So the clients, contractors have no idea when they come in to do work what to isolate and where to isolate it. All they've got is an original installation certificate from 25 years ago, and there was one small EICR carried out 5 years ago, but it only did 1 or 2 boards. They've given me a map of the site, all 3 floors. All right, so I'm gonna hopefully go around, and when I find stuff, scroll it down with my pen. Now with EICRs, primarily, I'm not there trying to find faults, but it's inspection and testing in that order. You inspect first and then test. Most of the time I find issues through my visual inspection, and I bet that's what I'm going to find here. I bet the circuits are going to be, you know, relatively okay, and it's because it's a business and it's a large commercial place, people don't care anymore. So they don't care because it's not their socket when they smash it or break stuff, and they don't report it. So I reckon we're going to find a lot of issues on the visual inspection. This install has about 300 or so circuits-ish from my quick walk around when I quoted. And I took pictures of the boards and then uploaded them to TradeCert, and it pre-populated all the certification for me. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm here for a week with 2 of us. I generally give myself about 20 minutes per circuit to adequately locate, inspect and test the circuit. Obviously there's some dedicated radials which are going to be easy to test and quick, and then some of the more complex circuits like communal lighting is obviously going to may take longer. So it's like a balance. It's just a rough guide to how I do them. If I can't find a circuit with the client's permission, isolate, turn it off. If I don't know what it does, if the client doesn't know what it does, someone will shout if it does something, and then we'll know, and I'll be able to, you know, test it and inspect it and test it. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you do. I'll try and show you some of the testing, but as it's a multi-use, as it's a commercial site with lots of different businesses, I don't think I'll be able to film much. Here is our mains intake position. So you can see we're a TNCS. So this is the cutout, and then goes into metering cabinet, and then we've got a 200 amp, well 160 amp switch fuse, which then feeds a large MCCB panel in the ground floor riser cupboard, which I'll take you to now. And in here is the riser cupboard, and that goes through the 2 floors. And here's our MCCB panel, the external lighting board, which is just here. There's 2 boards on the ground floor, one large one, this one here, and a little, like a smaller one, about half the size. First floor board, second floor board. We've got a heating control panel up in the loft. Lift control panel again in the loft, which I'm going to go and test today. Then there's the kitchen, which I'm doing that, as planned to do that Thursday. Lift, and then carnival supply, which I've just turned off. No one knows what it does, and so I've turned it off and wait for someone to shout and scream at me. This is the first floor fuse board. All the switchgear, apart from one thing, is all MEM, which is fantastic. I love MEM, it's a solid brand. Apart from some issues I picked up on my visual inspection, all the test results came out as expected. There was a lack of RCT protection on these 2 circuits, so I need to get some MEM pods. So part of the remedial work will be putting pods on these. So that's the first floor. Right, and here I am on the top floor. Again, another MEM board. The main issue with this floor was that a lot of the circuits didn't have RCD protection. A lot of them are socket outlets. And I don't care what floor you're on, ground, first, second, 12th, 20th, 50th, your sockets need RCD protection, all right? End of. I can't stand some of the people who go, yeah, but it can't be used outside, so don't need RCD protection. RCD protection is required on all socket outlets, all right? I don't think there's any mention of floor or height, all right? Liable to be used outside? No, probably not, but why not? Why not? I'm going to show you using this trade cert software and use the AI function to upload the details of the circuit descriptions and the protective devices. So I'm going to add a board, and this one is called DB G2. Manufacturer is MEM. Location, it's the annex. Supply from main panel 5T. It's 3 phases. The clever thing about this software, or its most interesting feature, which I really enjoy using, is populating a board. So this feature is well worth it. This AI import, all right, click that. I'm going to take a photo of the distribution board. You can also take a picture of the circuit. Will do. Currently, I've got my mate is locating all the circuits so we know what's what before we start testing. He's inspecting, going around checking all the circuits. So you can take a picture of the certificate info if you've got a previous certificate, and it uploads, it will use AI and populate the certificate. I'm going to take a photo of this distribution board. Take a camera picture. Here we go. So I'm going to put it there.
Turn off the workshop ring.
Okay, and then I'm going to import. It will use one of my tokens per circuit imported. All right, so use it. It'll be quite a lot if you've got a 3-phase board. Here we go. I think this AI feature is really clever. You see, you still have to cross the T's and dot the I's. You still have to cast your eye over the certificate, but it certainly helps with some of the monotonous and laborious task of populating the certificate and typing out each circuit. I still might have to change, like it's just use AI to figure out, oh, that's probably a 2.5, that's 1.5. So I still might have to change it if they're wired differently, but that gets rid of a lot of the monotonous and boring and the laborious task of actually typing out the majority or the lion's share of the typing when you're populating a certificate. If we look, I have noticed that it's a 3-phase board, and see it's just got L1, 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 L1. If you go up to here to renumber, and it notices, oh yeah, do you want to do it in 3-phase or single phase? I'm going to go 3-phase, and boom, we've got it. It hasn't added on the spares, I noticed. That's one thing I've picked up. If it picks up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 TP, it should be, but we've only gone up to 5L1. 5L1, is that right? Yeah, so we're missing this here, so I'll have to add that on. But that's all right, I can just add a circuit, and they've got quick circuits as well, so you can do a quick add of a particular circuit. I love the fact that if you look here on the board, it's all just, over the years, people have handwritten bits of what the circuit does, as you can see, if you look down, lights, workshop, toilets and things like that, right? And the AI, when you do the AI and you take a picture of it, it does almost get it exactly right, even with just handwritten bits on the schedule. Right. The moment I took this board cover off, my spidey sense was tingling. Something doesn't look right, okay? Let me show you how dangerous this is. Now, I'm not sure if this was a Sparky that done this, or whether some very enthusiastic DIYer has done this, all right? You let me know in the comments below. So, this is our supply in. It's a 10mm twin and earth, all right? Underneath there, you can see that neutral has been overheating, perhaps potentially not connected in properly. The buzz bar has also been bent. Each of the pins have been bent. You can see that. And that's not even the most dangerous part of it, okay? Someone made a rookie error in connecting this up. Now, I don't know whether the main switch used to be on this side and someone needed to put RCD protection on the circuits, so then they've moved the main switch out of the way and put an RCD up front. But if you follow the conductors, you've got live and neutral in, neutral to this neutral bar, obviously used to be some kind of split load. Then there's a live conductor out the back, like you'd expect on a split load, and it goes over to the underside of this main switch, yeah? And you've got the neutral, which comes from this neutral bar into there. And on the load side of this isolator, you've got the neutral comes out and goes into this bar, okay? Nothing in the other terminal, right? So what this means is, if you turn off this isolator, right, it kills all the neutrals of all these circuits. And so everything stops working, is perceived to be dead. Obviously, you need to, if you're going to work on it, if you're a sparky, you should properly test for dead. It would be, it's still live. It would perceive it, you'd perceive it to be dead because the lights would stop working, the sockets would stop working, the things would stop working. However, it's still live, it just doesn't have a neutral. I'm just absolutely baffled by this. How you would do this, why you would do this. I don't think it's a Spark that's done that. I don't think that's a Spark that's done that. However, a Spark has tested this. Admittedly, 5 years ago. It could have happened since then. And it's just so much wrong with this. There's so much wrong with this. 2 seconds before I re-energize. I've still got it linked out, all right? Yeah. So this setup
You're
here.
in time whenever you're ready.
So we're just testing the external lighting board, and which is fed from this main panel. It's a 63 amp MCCB, which feeds this board here. And this board then does, it looks like someone's made additions, right? And the original install was really good. It's the additions that have been lashed in, and that's where I'm finding a lot of the issues on this install, on this EICR. So we've got a control circuit, 6 amp control circuit, which through experience I can tell you that it feeds this time clock, and then on the load side of the time clock, so when it, when the switch line, when the time says turn on the lights, there's a switch line from there, and it goes into terminal A1 of this contactor, and then we've got 2 outside lighting circuits. One does the perimeter, and one does some brick lights out the front. Now those 2 circuits come into the top of here. If you want to have a look down here, that's our A1 terminal, our switch line effectively, which comes from the external time clock. Neutral, again, comes from that board up there. And then we've got 2 external lighting circuits. So they purely come from these 2 breakers, these 2 here, come down, come to the top of the contactor. And then on the load side, which is why you can see I've got my super odd link to get an R102 reading out at the lighting circuit around the perimeter. You right if I turn it off then? Isolate? Yeah? Cool? Happy days? Wicked. Smashing. Right. Lovely job. All off? It can be, when it comes to large commercial sites, it can be challenging, it can be tricky, and doesn't always work, but with the right amount of planning and the right amount of communication, you can isolate stuff. So they go for years without actually being properly verified or tested that they actually work. 160 amp BS88s in there. See that? Right, I'll just quickly do a ZE here, and that'll be the closest I can get to the origin, and then we'll power back up. All right, proving the function. When you tick that box to say functional test, I've still left this off. No one has screamed at me or shouted at me. So I think this is a dead supply that someone's removed, but it's probably lost somewhere in the trunking. So that's going to stay off. Right, so it's Thursday and we're almost there. I've got my sheet. I've got 3 or 4 pages worth of observations. I'm just going to add some of the observations into TradeCert. So it also uses AI here. Another clever thing, I can now say, for example, for this observation, for example, lack of RCD protection. And AI, if I want, you can use up one of my tokens. It will suggest, here we go, the reg number, that one there, I think it's code 2. And I could put location, for example, DB S2, second floor, and then 1L, L1, DB S2. And if I want, I can add a photo to it. I'll just click save. There you go. And for example, another one would be damaged socket, damaged sockets, damaged socket. AI, go to condition of accessories and outlets, perfect. Or you can, it will suggest other things as well. Suitability of accessories to external influences. It's not that one on this occasion. And I could put the room numbers. You know, there's room 2.3, 1.1, etc., etc. And I could also add a photo if I wanted to. Save that. See, there was 12 boards in the end. Main panel, 2 ground floors, kitchen, servery, outside lighting, floor 1, floor 2, 2 on floor 2, switch, turned off everything, the lift, control panel, everything, testing everything, so that the client can have a full exhaustive list of what does what. Another couple of cool things it has, so throughout when you're completing your certificate, it's got notes and observations. At any point you can add an observation, at any point you can add a note. Now I've already filled some of this in, so it won't work as I'm going to show you, but if you click notes, you can write, for example, like no water bond, TT, 21.3 ohms. You actually can use AI, and it'll input that data that you've put on the notepad into your certificate. It'll analyze your notes, so no water bond, TT. It will put all that in this certificate. It obviously won't in this instance. I've already filled it in, so it won't actually do it. It does use up one of your code tokens when you do it. So when I go to supply characteristics, it will say, you can see here. Actually, come and have a look. See, I've used it. It can tell. It's used AI. So although this, the earthing arrangement in this instance is TNCS, but on my notes I put is a TT, and there's the reading 21.3. So if I click that, it will change it. So that's kind of a nifty little feature you can use at the beginning of your test, of your inspection process. You can use notes to get the initial bits of data on the supply characteristics and some observations just kicked off straight away using AI. Another cool feature on this is that it does have if you want to, it has the regulation numbers. If when you're doing your inspection schedule, if you need any assistance or help, you've got all the details there ready at the touch of a button. I quite like that. So you've got like a quick add. You've got commercial circuits here, or you've got domestic circuits, which is quite nice. Electroform has this as well, very similar. I don't think EasyCert does. You've got that. Obviously add in circuits, AI import, which is for doing the boards, AI check, which is very similar to validate on EasyCert. So it'll find any holes in your certification in your certificate where you may have missed stuff and highlight them to you. Autofill, find and replace, which is new. Renumber, which is a really good, really cool feature. Reorder, which is nice. It's quite painful in Electroform. In here, it's a lot easier. Renumber also, it can also flip the numbers as well. If the AI has done it the other way around, you can reorder and it will flip them. So if 10 is 1 and 1 is 10, it swaps the whole board round. And obviously you can do max ZS here is now, you can go 100% or 80%. Let me know in the comments what you do. I do 80% in my opinion. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this software. I'm really liking it. I'm a bit of a electrical certification slag, right? I've purchased and I own a lot of them. So to me, they all have, if one certification software was the best, we'd all have it. However, there isn't one that is the best. They all have their pros and cons. And I like to try them. I like to try them all, so it means that I have a balanced and open opinion on which one works best in what scenario. So I've had EasyCert for many, 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 many years. And EasyCert costs, if you want the iPad version on your phone, it's 220 quid-ish. It's a little bit cheaper if you just want it solely just for your laptop. And I believe you have like a 50-something pound annual renewal fee. So it's a big outlay initially, 220 quid if you want to use it on my tablet, which I do currently use. I use EasyCert on my iPad. I like EasyCert. It's really good for large installs, and you can constantly edit the certificate. So even when you've exported the certificate, you put it on the cloud and draw it from another laptop or another user. If there's a problem or an issue, or you go back to that install, the certificates, they're all offline. So it's all done offline until you find Wi-Fi to upload, to export. But the certificates, you can constantly edit them and mess about them. Right, so here is Electroform. I also use Electroform, which is free to sign up, right? I'm just covering over my client details. Electroform is free to use, but to buy a certificate, it's £1 per certificate. So I use this when I first went self-employed. I was made redundant. I'm self-employed. EasyCert at the time, it was nervous. I was first, starting out on my own. I was nervous. I didn't want to spend 220 quid for certification software. So I thought, Electroform, what a brilliant alternative. £1 per certificate. And the more certificates, you can buy them in bulk. So the more you buy, it's slightly cheaper. But that's fairly straightforward. However, it does have its limitations. It's web-based or online only. So you can't use it if you're in a place with lack of signal or no signal or no Wi-Fi. So that has its downfalls. It also is really tricky doing three-phase stuff. The EICRs are very end-user friendly. They're very idiot-proof. More recently, the software that I've started using called TradeCert, right? And TradeCert, it's the first one. It's a subscription, so it is £18 per month. And for that, you do get unlimited certificates. And you have 100 tokens. So if you want to use the AI function of the TradeCert, it uses up one of your tokens. And the token, depending on what you do, for example, if you're populating a 10-way board, that will cost you 10 tokens. You can buy additional tokens. So I bought 3,000 tokens, and that's £60. Now that'll last me a very, very, very long time. That's for using the AI side of it. You don't have to use the AI at all. And if you don't, it's £18 a month. But the software can be used online. It can be used offline. Because it's app-based. I found it very user-friendly and end-user-friendly. It looks really nice and smart. Never use the NIC or the NAPIT software. It's terrible. I promise you, I've used both over the years, and it's just really hard work. I don't know what they do. They must sit around at a table and go, how can we fleece our members even more? Let's make some really rubbish software and make them use it. The NIC stuff, the NIC one is terrible. It's so hard to use. NAPIT Fast Test, I think it's a little bit better. Well, it's definitely better than the NIC stuff, but it's because it's not their primary function, certification software. The NIC and NAPIT, they kind of half tried to make it, and they haven't quite got the right amount of money, or they haven't put the right people on developing the software. Whereas I much prefer dedicated software. They work so much better. They put the right amount of money in the right places. And the software is so much easier to use as a user, as a Sparky, and also as the end user, what they see at the end.